A family faces humiliation at a prestigious restaurant, but what happens next marks an impressive turnaround. The family had planned to celebrate the birthday of their youngest child at one of the city's finest dining establishments, but the behavior of a nearby table of patrons was shockingly cowardly and unprecedented. Upon their arrival at the restaurant, Sarah, the mother, beamed with joy, barely able to contain her excitement as she had been saving money for this special day. Sarah worked diligently at a diner as a waitress, while her husband, Daniel, was employed as a manager at an appliance store, bringing home substantial earnings on clearance days. This particular day was one such occasion. Daniel had woken up as usual at 4 a.m., leaving without saying goodbye as the early hour and his long commute to another city for work required him to rush. Despite the lengthy journey, Daniel was in high spirits, knowing that his youngest son was turning 10 that day. Shortly after Daniel left, Sarah rose, prepared breakfast for their 3 children, Jake, Chris, and Leo, and packed their school lunches. The anticipation of the celebratory dinner filled the entire family with a sense of eagerness. As evening approached, they dressed in their finest clothes and made their way to the restaurant. They were seated at a table in the center of the dining room, near a group of customers who had clearly been there for a while. Sarah felt a knot in her stomach as she noticed the unwelcoming stares directed at them, but she tried to brush off the discomfort. Soon after they placed their orders, the conversation at the adjacent table grew louder and more derogatory. Snide remarks about the family's appearance and presence started to fly. Daniel squeezed Sarah's hand under the table, struggling to maintain his composure. When their dishes arrived, one of the patrons at the other table made a particularly loud and derisive comment. "Can they even afford this?" The family tried to focus on their celebration, but their joy was quickly being eclipsed by the humiliation. Then, something unexpected happened. The restaurant manager, having noticed the ongoing harassment, approached the offending table. In a firm yet polite tone, he instructed them to either cease their insults or leave the premises. The table fell silent, clearly abashed. Turning to Sarah and Daniel with a warm smile, the manager assured them that their meal would be complimentary in honor of Leo's birthday. This act of kindness rekindled the family's spirits, allowing them to enjoy their meal with renewed joy and dignity. Unbeknownst to them, the true surprise was yet to come. As they finished their meal, the manager reappeared, carrying a cake adorned with lit candles. With a radiant smile, he announced a special gift for the birthday boy. The restaurant staff began to clap and sing "Happy Birthday" to Leo, creating a heartfelt moment. Tears of joy welled up in Leo's eyes as he blew out the candles, his brothers cheering enthusiastically. Daniel and Sarah were deeply moved by the manager's generosity and the way the restaurant had transformed an unpleasant situation into a memorable celebration. However, the evening held an even greater surprise. As the birthday song concluded, the manager invited Daniel and Sarah to follow him to the restaurant's entrance. Puzzled but intrigued, they complied. There, stepping out of a car, was the children's grandfather, a figure they hadn't seen in months due to his residence in another city. The sight of him brought an overwhelming sense of surprise and joy, especially for Leo, who ran to embrace his grandfather tightly. The unexpected presence added a layer of happiness to the night, and the family returned to their table with hearts full of joy. What had begun as a tense evening was now unfolding into an extraordinarily special occasion. Daniel thanked the manager for arranging both the cake and the grandfather's surprise visit. The grandfather spent the evening regaling the family with jokes and stories, making the celebration even more delightful. As the evening drew to a close and the family prepared to leave, another incident occurred. A woman from the offending table, on her way to the bathroom, brushed past Leo and shouted, "What a clumsy boy! He must be black." The blatant racism left the entire restaurant in stunned silence. Daniel, his face a mix of fury and sorrow, stood up. Before he could speak, Sarah, tears streaming down her face, embraced Leo protectively. Murmurs of shock and outrage spread among the other patrons. The manager, hearing the racist comment, swiftly returned with a stern expression. "You must leave now," he commanded the woman and her companion. "We do not tolerate any form of discrimination here. Your bill will be waived, but you are no longer welcome." The offending customers left, grumbling, but most of the restaurant's patrons applauded the manager's decisive action. Sarah and Daniel, still reeling from the shock, sat back down, trying to comfort Leo, who was visibly shaken. An elderly lady at a nearby table approached the family. "I want you to know that not everyone thinks like that. You are a beautiful family, and you deserve to celebrate this special moment," she said, placing a small gift on Leo's table and giving him a warm hug. Other customers also began to approach, offering words of support and small gifts. The restaurant's atmosphere shifted entirely. Sarah, feeling that simply expelling the customers was not enough, called Daniel over. "This can't be left like this, Daniel. They need to understand what they did," she said, her voice trembling with indignation. Daniel agreed, and together they spoke with the manager. "We appreciate that you expelled the offensive customers, and we are grateful," Daniel began. "But that doesn't erase the pain they caused our son and our family." The manager, looking uncomfortable, nodded. "I understand, sir, and I am willing to do more to make this right. What do you suggest?" Sarah took a deep breath and replied, "We would like a public statement apologizing and stating the restaurant's commitment against any form of discrimination. Additionally, we would appreciate a donation to an organization that fights racism. We also intend to report this to the police," they added. That night, after taking the children and the grandfather home, Sarah and Daniel headed to the police station. Upon arrival, they were met with indifference by the officer on duty. When they reported the incident and expressed their desire to file a formal complaint, the officer seemed reluctant and uninterested. "We can't accept this," said Daniel firmly. "What happened was a crime, and it needs to be treated as such." The officer sighed and finally agreed to file the complaint, albeit with minimal effort. Sarah and Daniel left the station, frustrated by the lack of support and empathy. Determined not to give up, they sought help from a lawyer specializing in racial discrimination cases. With the lawyer's guidance, they found ways to pressure the police station to properly investigate the case and ensure justice was served. Meanwhile, their story spread on social media, generating widespread outrage and support. Many people joined the cause, demanding the police take the case seriously. Public pressure and legal assistance eventually forced the police to act. The officer responsible was reprimanded, and the case was forwarded for investigation. The woman who made the racist comment was identified and prosecuted, facing the consequences of her actions. Sarah, Daniel, and their children realized that despite the challenges and initial resistance, fighting for their rights and justice was worthwhile. The restaurant incident not only strengthened their family but also united them with a broader community committed to combating prejudice and discrimination. Leo grew into a strong and proud young man, shaped by his family's struggle, love, and dedication. At 18, he was accepted into one of the best colleges of his choice. On his first day, he already sensed he would face new challenges similar to those he had encountered as a child. Returning home slightly disheartened, he sought his parents' advice. His parents, concerned, reassured him, "Leo, you have faced challenges before and emerged stronger. We believe in you and know you can overcome any obstacle. Stay true to yourself, be kind but firm in your principles, and never let prejudice or discrimination shake you. We will always be here to support you, no matter what." These words of love and wisdom gave Leo the strength and confidence to face college life with courage and determination. He understood that, just as his family supported him during difficult times, he could find support and solidarity among his peers and professors. The next day, arriving at college with newfound confidence, Leo noticed the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. Intrigued by Alice's beauty, he approached her, only to realize she was surrounded by a popular group of students led by Lucas, a charismatic but arrogant guy. Lucas, noticing Leo's approach, looked at him disdainfully and said, "Hey noob, what do you want with Alice? You're in the wrong place." The group laughed, leaving Leo embarrassed. Determined not to be shaken, Leo replied calmly, "I'm sorry if I seemed intrusive. I just wanted to get to know her since we are college mates." His polite response surprised Lucas and the group. Alice, noticing the situation, intervened. "Don't worry, Leo, you can stay and talk to us," she smiled, and Leo felt more at ease. Over the following days, Leo and Alice developed a close friendship, sharing interests and aspirations. Sarah hugged him and said, "Tell Alice that I'm sorry for the incident at the restaurant and that she's always welcome." Just then, Alice, coming down the stairs, hugged Sarah and reassured her, "It was wonderful, Mrs. Sarah, and everything will be all right." Thus, Leo and Alice returned to their academic routine, where Leo worked hard every day to forget and change his family's story. A few days later, Jake called his brother, saying he had decided to turn himself in and take responsibility for his actions. "Brother, I feel ashamed. As your older brother, I haven't been a good example for you, but you bring me hope. So, before I turn myself in, I'll leave the address of where the stolen bank money is. Use it for your education and our siblings. Help Mom and Dad renovate the house," Jake said. But Leo interrupted him quickly. "Stop this now. I don't want anything I haven't earned with my work and effort. I'm sorry we're so different, brother. I'm sure Mom and Dad wouldn't want it either. Turn the money over to the police." Jake hung up shortly after, seeming not to have fully learned his lesson yet. As days went by, college life helped Leo distract himself from family problems, but the shadow of Jake's actions still loomed over him. Despite everything, Leo focused intensely on his studies, determined to build a better future for himself and his family. But soon, news of Chris's arrest broke on TV, and everyone at college started looking at Leo like a criminal, associating him with something he had no part in. One day, while sitting in the cafeteria, Leo felt something wet on his legs. Lucas and the soccer boys had put glue on the chair before he sat down. "Now you're stuck, thief," they mocked. Alice, always by his side, helped him out of the embarrassing situation. Every day, the hazing worsened. Leo was walking with his head down, thinking about quitting his studies. "I can't take it anymore," he vented to Alice. She, wiping his tears with her hand, replied, "You are strong. Time heals everything. These people still have childlike minds and will forget. I see you with a bright future, and you'll see what I mean soon." Alice's support proved invaluable, always offering comfort and encouragement. She understood his complex emotions and was always ready to listen and help. One morning, while having coffee in the college cafeteria, Leo received an unexpected message from an unknown number. It was from Chris, informing him that he had returned the stolen money and deeply regretted the pain he had caused the family. A mixture of relief and sadness washed over Leo. He knew Chris was doing the right thing, but the weight of his brother's choices was still hard to bear. However, he felt that a painful chapter of their lives was beginning to close. With constant support from Alice, his parents, and friends, Leo continued to excel in college. He got involved in projects promoting social justice and equality, turning his personal experiences into strengths for the common good. He knew that despite the difficulties, his family would always be an essential part of his life, and together they could overcome any adversity. The following months brought significant changes and adaptations for Leo and his family. With Chris in prison, Sarah and Daniel had to cope with the pain of their son's absence while continuing to support him as best they could. They made regular visits to the prison, showing Chris there was still hope and that he could change his life. Leo, in turn, focused even more on his studies and college projects. He became actively involved in a support group for minority students, where he met people with similar stories. Together, they worked to create a more inclusive and just environment at the university. Alice also joined the group, becoming an inspiring figure. Her dedication and empathy made her beloved by all, and she and Leo became a dynamic duo, always looking for ways to help others. One day, while walking through the campus, Leo and Alice met Lana, a classmate facing financial difficulties. She was about to drop out of school because she couldn't afford the tuition fees. Leo, recalling his brother's words about the stolen money, had an idea. He and Alice organized a fundraiser to help Lana and other students in similar situations. With friends and professors' help, they raised a significant amount, not only helping Lana continue her studies, but also creating an emergency fund for future cases. This initiative caught the university administration's attention, who praised the students' actions and implemented more comprehensive scholarship and financial support programs. Leo and Alice saw this achievement as a confirmation that they were on the right path, turning their adversity into positive actions for the community. Meanwhile, Chris's situation in prison improved. Over time, He demonstrated exemplary behavior and engaged in rehabilitation and education programs. Sarah and Daniel's visits were crucial to his progress, and he began to envision a future where he could atone for his past and reintegrate into society positively. During a visit, Chris told Leo, "I know I've made a lot of mistakes, but seeing what you're doing in college gives me hope. I want to do something good someday too." Leo was moved by his brother's words, knowing Chris's journey would be long and challenging, but he was willing to support and help in any way he could. Despite all the difficulties, the family remained united, firm in their belief that redemption and change were possible. Life continued, and Leo, Alice, Sarah, Daniel, and even Chris kept fighting for a better future, confident that together they could overcome any obstacle. Over the years, Jake was released and began a new journey, working with his brother, who closely watched over and supported him. Leo excelled in politics and was nominated for mayor of his city. The community was proud of the boy who overcame so much to become a man of character and kindness. Inspired by his family's story, Chris wrote a book that broke sales records. Sarah and Daniel were proud of their boys and were well cared for and supported in their old age. Beyond the fight against racism, this story shows that even in the face of the greatest adversities, redemption, transformation, and hope are possible. With love, support, and determination, we can build a better future for ourselves and those around us. If you enjoyed this story, please like and comment. Your participation is very important to us, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see new stories.